Alright, so welcome back to Terraforming Mars Venus Next, What's in the Box, Part 4. So let's continue on. We still got some more cards here to go over. Well, this one is pretty easy and straightforward. For 7 credits, you also requires you to have a Venus, Earth, and a Jovian tag in play. But once you do have those requirements met, you can play this card called Solar Net and draw 2 cards. And it's also going to give you an extra point at the end of the game. Then we have Omnicourt here, similar to the one we just played, because it also requires a Jovian, Earth, and a Venus tag in play, as well as a few extra credits, 11 credits. But if you do play this one, you get to increase your TR rating, which is your terraforming rating, 2 steps. So that's pretty cool. Then we have Mining Quota, and once again, for just a few credits, for 5 credits, and a Venus, Earth, and Jovian tag in play, you can increase your steel production 2 steps. This one is just going to give you victory points, but it requires 8 money, and it also requires a Venus, Earth, and Jovian tag in play for luxury foods. Then we have Luna Metropolis. Now this works with the board here, and it's actually on Luna, on the moon, I guess. And for 21 money, you can increase your mega credit production 1 step for each Earth tag you have, including this, and then place a city tile on the reserved area, which I showed you earlier, and also gives you 2 points as well. So that's kind of an interesting card. Then we have Dawn City. Once again, this works with the city tile on the board. From what I understand, Dawn City is a ever-moving city. It moves on rails, in fact. Anyways, it requires 4 science tags in play, as well as 15 credits. And you also have to have your energy production up at least by 1, because it's going to decrease it by 1. But then it increases your titanium production 1 step, and then you get to place a city tile on the reserved area. So that one is okay, because it is hard to play this card and meet that requirement of having 4 science tags in play. Maybe they should make an expansion that adds more science tags, because it always seems like we don't have enough. Alright, then we have, for 7 credits, and also requires for that you have at least 5 floaters on your cards altogether, Aero Sport Tournament. This one will gain you 1 mega credit for each city tile in play. So obviously, it's only really worth it if you have more than 7 city tiles in play, because the only other thing you're going to get is a point for it. So make sure you count the cities before you play this, and make sure there's more than 7 cities. But it is kind of nice because it says each city tile in play, so it would also work with the city tiles that are sitting on Venus, or over Venus, for that matter. So that's kind of nice, and that might mean you might have a few more cities around. Then we have Gyropolis, or Gyropolis, or something like that, for 20 credits. And it will decrease your energy production 2 steps, but it'll increase your mega credit production 1 step for each Venus and Earth tag you have. And then you also get to place a city. So this is an awesome card. If you have a lot of Earth tags in play, you're going to get a lot of credits. If you have a lot of Venus tags in play, you're going to get a lot of credits. And if you have both of a lot of each of these, you are going to get a ton of mega credit production up. Big time. And you also get to place a city tile. Oh, dude, that is awesome. This is definitely a favorite, for sure. And then the last card that is in this particular box, in this expansion, IO Sulfur Research. For 17 credits, you can draw a card, or draw 3 cards if you have at least 3 Venus tags in play. And it's also going to give you 2 extra victory points at the end of the game. So that's kind of an interesting little card. Now that's it for all the cards that are in Venus Next. But now I thought we'd go over the rest of the cards that were in colonies that work with this expansion. So first we have Titan, the the place where you can send your colonies to, and another planet you can, or moon that you can send your trade fleets to as well. So if you place a colony down here, you'll get 3 floaters for placing a colony. Then the player who puts their trade ship here on Titan is going to get a certain amount of floaters depending on where the cube, it's a small cube, it's smaller than this in fact, that goes on here. So if the small cube, which is not this because it's smaller than this, was on this one here, you'd get the person who traded, they would get 2 floaters. If it was on here, which is the maximum, that the player who traded here would get 4 floaters. And then every time a trade fleet comes to trade here, the players who have their colonies on here will get an additional bonus of 1 floater each for the colony bonus. So that's how that works for colonies. All right, so let's continue on. So first we have, for 21 credits, we have Titan Air Scraping. As an action, you can spend 1 titanium to add 2 floaters to this card, or you can spend 2 floaters here to increase your TR rating 1 step. And it's also worth a couple of extra points at the end of the game. Then we have Titan Shuttles. So it's so these cards focus around Titan a bit, because after all, that was the location that was added to the equation. So for 23 credits, you can play this card, and then as an action, you can add 2 floaters to any Jovian card, or spend any number of floaters here to gain the same number of titanium. So that's kind of interesting. If you want to get a bunch of titanium to pay for cards later down the road, you can exchange floaters for titanium. That's kind of an interesting strategy for sure. Then we have airliners. Now this one's going to require you to have 11 credits, and it's also going to require you to have 3 floaters. But once you meet those requirements, you can increase your mega credit production 2 steps, and then add 2 floaters to another card. That's kind of cool. And it's worth 1, obviously, extra point. Then we have Red Spot Observatory. For 17 credits and a requirement of 3 science tags in play, you can add 1 floater to this card, or spend 1 floater here to draw a card. That's pretty cool. That is really cool, actually. And then, when you play it, you obviously also get a benefit too, because you get to draw 2 cards for playing it, and it's going to give you 2 extra points at the end of the game. So this one is actually a really fair, decent card, for sure. Then we have Nitrogen from Titan. For 25 credits, you can raise your TR rating 2 steps, and you can also add 2 floaters to a Jovian card. So that's pretty cool. A lot of the Jovian cards did have to deal with floaters in Venus Next. So that's pretty cool. Then we have Jupiter Floating Station for 9 credits, and you also have to have 3 science tags in play. As an action, you can add 1 floater to a Jovian card, or gain 1 mega credit for every floater here. A maximum of 4 here. So that's kind of interesting. You can, it says you can add 1 floater to a Jovian tag. Well, this has the Jovian tag, so you can add a floater here. But you can only put a maximum of 4 on here. Then, or you can gain 1 credit for every floater you have here. So once you reach 4, you can just do this every time and get 4 credits every generation for this card. Or you can add floaters to other Jovian cards if you want to. So that's kind of an interesting strategy, for sure. Then we have Jovian Lanterns. For 20 money, and you also have to have a Jovian tag in play, you can increase your TR rating 1 step, and then add 2 floaters to any card. And then it's also worth 1 victory point per 2 floaters you have on this card as well. And then, as an action, you can spend 1 titanium to add 2 floaters here. So that's kind of interesting. You can use the floaters that you get for playing the card and put them on another card, and then you can spend titanium to add 2 floaters here for this card. So that's pretty interesting. Gives you a couple of different ways of doing that. Then we have, for a very cheap amount of money, for just 3 mega credits, you can increase your mega credit production 1 step per 3 floaters you have. So if you save this for later down the road and you have, probably 6, maybe 9 floaters, you can increase your mega credit production quite a bit for just a few credits. That is awesome. Definitely a favorite card. And maybe just worth doing it if you have 3 floaters, for sure. Then we have Floater Technology. For 7 credits, as an action, you can add 1 floater to another card. So another awesome card. Definitely love this one a lot too. Really cheap and affordable. Then we have Floater Prototypes. For 2 money, you can add 2 floaters to another card. Another one of my favorites because it's an easy way of giving out floaters. And a lot of those cards that require a certain amount of floaters to play them. Beneficial for having these cards been played. Definitely, for sure. An awesome card. Then we have Atmo Collectors. For 15 credits, you get to add 2 floaters to any card. And then as an action, you can add 1 floater to this card, or spend 1 floater here to gain 2 titanium, or 3 energy, or 4 heat. That is really fascinating. So it just depends on what you might need. You might need titanium for a particular card to play. You might need a lot of heat to raise the temperature. Or maybe you'll just go with the energy for some reason. Although I don't know why you would go for energy, since energy would just get converted into heat anyways. It seems almost unlikely that you would choose that choice over this choice of 4 heat. But anyways, that's kind of an interesting card. And I'd have to say that it's almost my favorite because of how interesting it is. We still have 2 more to go over. Then we have Air Raid for 0 credits. It requires that you lose 1 floater. So if you have no floaters, you can't play this card. You have to have at least 1 floater on one of your cards, and then you'll lose that floater. But then you get to steal 5 credits from another player. So that's pretty cool. Another little attack card, if you will. Definitely worth doing if you have a floater. If you have a lot of floaters especially, it could be worth doing at one-time use, Then we have the last one here. Now this one, it does work with Venus Next, but it's also very helpful with colonies as well. So for 18 credits, we have Titan Floating Launchpad. And when you play it, you'll also get to add 2 floaters to any Jovian card. It's also worth a victory point at the end of the game. But the action is what is really fascinating. You can add 1 floater to any Jovian card, or you can spend 1 floater here to trade for free. So that's really cool. It costs a lot of money to trade to other planets, or other moons, if you will, where the colonies are located and stuff. It costs a lot of money to do that, and this one is letting you do it for free for just the cost of a floater that's sitting on this card. So this is definitely a favorite card, because even though you still have to spend 18 money to pay for it, you'll get to do this a few times throughout the game before the game is done. So that it will even out for sure. You will make your monies back in double fold, if not triple fold. You'll make your money back for sure. Okay, well that's all of the cards that were also added to colonies that dealt with floaters and stuff. So that's it for Terraforming Mars Venus Next of What's in the Box. I hopefully explained all of the cards that were in this expansion to the best of my ability. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. I hope it was helpful for you, as it was for me. And I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you for watching.